New tonight, President Joe Biden is now in Brussels preparing to announce new sanctions on Russian lawmakers as we're nearing 1 month since the invasion in Ukraine began. In a show of greater force, NATO is also committing to increasing troops. Here's ABC's Morgan Norwood following the latest developments.
New drone video released by a right-wing paramilitary group incorporated into the Ukraine National Guard shows the devastation in Mariupol. The images come as the U.S. formally accuses Russia of war crimes.
I want to reiterate our solidarity for the people of Ukraine. We are committed to pursuing full accountability for war crimes in Ukraine.
President Joe Biden is in Brussels for an emergency NATO summit where he and world leaders are set to announce a new package of sanctions on Russia and the tightening of existing ones. All of this as the UN Security Council overwhelmingly struck down a Russian resolution that acknowledged the growing humanitarian crisis in Ukraine, but failed to mention the Russian siege that led to the situation.
Abstention in the face of Russia's atrocities is unacceptable. Russia must be held accountable for the humanitarian crisis it is creating.
Meanwhile, in Russia, the U.S. State Department saying a number of U.S. diplomats have been expelled from the Moscow embassy. It's Russia's latest retaliatory measure after the U.S. expelled 12 Russians from the UN in New York and said they were intelligence officers. And Ukraine is making progress defending Kyiv, the Pentagon saying the Ukrainian forces have pushed the Russians back to 34 miles outside of the capital, forcing them into defensive positions. That's as Ukraine's lead negotiator, now in peace talks with Russia, telling ABC News the talks are real, stressing the Russians want to make a deal, but it could take months. As the unrelenting bombardment continues in Ukraine, in his daily address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky calling on the global population to show their support for Ukraine. Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Los Angeles.
In the last month, NATO is estimating 7,000 to 15,000 Russian soldiers have died. Ukraine hasn't released much information about its losses, but nearly 2 weeks ago, President Zelensky said about 1,300 Ukrainian soldiers had died after the invasion.